Hi everyone. This video will go through systems theory as a qualitative research inquiry. So basically, if you wanted to use the theory of systems, system science as a theory or systems thinking to drive your qualitative research inquiry, that is your methodology, the framework of your research, etc., then this video will give you an introduction to that. And the material for this video is supported by Michael Patton in his book from 2015 called Qualitative Research and Evaluation Methods, integrating theory and practice, and it's the 4th edition, and the details you've got it here on the slide. So first of all, to give you an idea, which research inquiry questions are we talking about when we when we're trying to think about systems theory or systems thinking, and what does it suit? So on page 226, Patton mentioned the core inquiry questions that systems theory address in a qualitative research. These could be very useful for you to give you an idea. And these are, I've listed here, and these include things like, how does this system function as it does? So if you're trying, say, to examine a certain system, so you may be interested to know, how does this system function? Why does the system function as it does? What are the system's boundaries that you are trying to study? What are the system's interrelationships? And how do these affect perspectives about how and why the system function as it does? So these are the sort of questions that a research that's using systems thinking as a research inquiry would suit. Now let's talk about the power of systems, of a systems inquiry in qualitative research. So Patton discussed several advantages of using systems theory as your, as the researchers or your main theory to guide your methodology. So systems inquiry is good at examining what happens when two systems intersect. So say you have one social system where social scientists inquire into human behavior, and on the other hand, ecology, where natural scientists test theories of nature, like, for example, weather patterns. So in this situation, systems theory and thinking can sit parallel to the philosophical and methodological paradigm debates between what they call, obviously positivists and constructivists, in terms of how they look at the nature of reality, where constructions are viewed as organic systems instead of, viewing reality or viewing these things in mechanistic, linear ways. Systems thinking can also provide a different conceptual and methodological way to study and understand things. For example, how organizations function, a certain organization that you come across, etc. How do they function? So a system inquiry would pay attention to differences between closed and open systems and the implications of such boundary definitions for research, theory, and practice in understanding programs, organizations, entire societies, and even, the entire world, if you wanted to, to go that far. But Patton talked about the challenge of using systems thinking as an inquiry framework. This is because there are many different system meanings that you should be aware of. There are different meanings. There are different models, there are different approaches, and there are different methods attached to systems theory, including, for example, soft systems methodology, critical systems methodology. There is even hard systems methodology that I've come across before. There is also systems dynamics and many more. And each has theory implication for the research and the evaluation that you're trying to do. And I myself came across this same challenge, when I was doing my PhD. There are so many different ways to look at systems, a system itself as a reality, or the nature of system, models, approaches, as I mentioned just now. Now let's turn to, the important concepts that are central to a systems inquiry within qualitative research. Holistic thinking. Holistic thinking is considered central to a systems perspective and thinking, because systems are considered wholes, what they call, that are both greater than and different from their parts. Analytically, this means that in your inquiry, the system you are considering and examining won't be understood by looking at parts or the parts of that system separately. This is because the key properties that make that system that you are studying will be lost when it is taken apart. So this is something important to keep in mind. And Patton gave a great example to explain this very well in his book. Imagine a disassembled person who cannot live, basically, that you're trying to deal with. If you're not thinking about a system in a holistic way. And also, the other thing is the function and the meaning of the parts become lost if separated from the whole, the entire system, that is. So things should not be taken apart, and instead, you need to use synthetic thinking. So synthesis or synthetic thinking in this case. So let's turn to synthetic thinking. Synthetic thinking in a systems inquiry is required to explain a system behavior. Synthesis is different from the analysis thinking that you would normally do in a different, qualitative inquiry. Here is how that differs between, if you're using systems theory versus another theory, to guide your qualitative inquiry. So during the first phase of your analysis, you need to take the thing you are analyzing as part of a larger whole, that is WHOLE. During the second phase of your analysis, you need to explain that whole. And in the final stage of your analysis, you understand the containing whole by disaggregating it to explain the parts of your system in question. This is done by revealing their role or function in that whole. So synthesis should expose function, not the structure, and why a system works as it does, not how it does so. So this is an important slide to really keep in mind. Apart from holistic thinking, synthetic thinking are also, both of them are central to using systems theory in a qualitative research or inquiry. Another important thing is, how do you incorporate systems theory within a qualitative inquiry? This can be done in many ways. Patton provided several examples, but in general terms, systems theory can be used as a framework in a research study. You can treat the issue or the phenomenon you are studying as a systemic problem. You can incorporate systems understanding in data analysis, and you can also use case studies to show features or behaviors of a specific system you are researching. But always remember, a systems perspective is called for when the focus of your research inquiry is a system. This is something to keep in mind. So hopefully this video gave you a very general and a quick understanding of systems theory and its use as a qualitative research inquiry, the central also things to consider if you are trying or if you are thinking about using systems theory versus other, say, types of theories or other approaches or other frameworks and so on.